Let's make woodland boot ornaments. First thing you're going to need is styrofoam balls. You're going to cut them in half with a sharp knife. One ball yields a pair of boots. Trace around the flat side of the ball on a piece of cardstock to make a template for making several of them. Then you grab a toilet paper roll, cut in half, up about 1.5 inches from where you trace the ball. Trace around the toilet paper roll. This gives you the shape of the sole of the boot. Cut it out, and now you have a template to trace out several on a thicker piece of cardboard. These make great ornaments to sell at craft shows and fairs, and you can fill them with candy canes, Hershey Kisses, whatever you like. Once cardboard is cut out, place the flat ball at the bottom of the sole and glue with a low-temp glue gun. Place the toilet paper roll at the top with hot glue, and that becomes the ankle of the boot. For this project, I used burlap and a stretchy ribbed knit fabric on a roll. It's used for making cuffs that you can get at Hobby Lobby. Being that the burlap is a bit see-through, I decided to paint it a little bit dark brown before covering the boot. Once it was dried, we were ready to cover the boot. It was really kind of like an upholstering method because the burlap, it doesn't stretch like other materials. So I cut a strip to fit around the boot and enough of it so I could pull it up over the toe and all the way to the ankle. I glued it and I snipped it and I nipped it to fit the form of the boot. I first glued it to the bottom and pulled it up around the sides of the ankle, and finally I pinched it at the ankle and over the top of the toe, and the boot was starting to look very boot-ish. Once I had everything all nipped and tucked, and the form was completely covered in burlap, I trimmed around the entire boot and added the knit cuff around the ankle of the boot. I just pulled out a little piece of it, and I don't measure much. I just kind of go with it. And I used the hot glue to secure it around the ankle. Now it's time to embellish. I had a checked ribbon with reindeer on it. I thought it was perfect for this woodland theme. But first, I decided I would pull out my stash of holly leaves, and I cut 2 of them, and I overlapped one on top of the other, and I just hot glued them with a little dab of hot glue, and I did one for each boot and set it aside. Next, I take the checked ribbon and I'm going to wrap that around the ankle of the boot for a little embellishment and a little color. So again, I just snip off a little piece and hot glue it in the center. Once that's secured, I decide I don't want anything too fancy. I'm just going to tie a little shoelace bow to go in the center. So I do that next, and I do a little bow fussing, you know. Once I'm done fussing, I give it a cut, and I hot glue it with a little dab of hot glue. And then I decide the holly needs to look like it has some snow on it. So I take a little bit of white paint, and I dab just a little bit at the tips of each holly leaf, and I dry it up, and then I'm going to put it right on the outside of the boot. And then I have these little pip berries from a little pip berry wreath that I had, and I decided I'd use those, and they just were the perfect little accent. They look like little holly berries. And oh my goodness, I love this project, you guys. The sky's the limit. You can design these any way you want, but I love the woodland look, and I am going to put them on my tree filled with goodies for the littles. Fill them up with chocolates and send them home like a good grandma. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're following me in all the places at Bella Lina Boutique, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, and of course, Etsy.